Hello ladies and gentlemen, Joe here with AVA Direct, and welcome to AVA Direct's review on the AMD Threadripper 2 2990WX. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering, how does Threadripper 2 perform? Is it worth the price tag? Well, with 32 cores and 64 threads, I'm going to have to agree that yes, but we'll get to more of that later. So, just to give you a little bit of an in-depth explanation on what this processor is going to do for us, I really don't know.
But wait, Joe, what about the benchmarks? We ran benchmarks.
Yes, I know, benchmarks are there, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk a little bit about, again, the basic stuff. So, gaming mode, still there. Is it ideal for gaming? No. I mean, bear in mind, the Threadripper 2 series is going to be primarily focused on workstation class systems and performance and oriented tasks. So if you're looking to get a high-end gaming system, there are better options out there for you. Ryzen! Woo! Now, regardless of what I said to you, it makes absolutely no difference and you're still going to use it for gaming, understand how gaming mode works. So what it's going to do is it's going to disable half the cores, it's going to prioritize all of the local memory first before it gets to far memory, and you'll pretty much get what you get at that point. Now, the greatest thing about Threadripper 2 that must be noted is previous to the 1950X that had half of the cores were being used in the Infinity Fabric and half were dummy, we now have use of all 4 cores through the Infinity Fabric usage. So you probably want to know how the benchmarks did. First, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the hardware. MSI was nice enough to give us a copy of their Meg X399 creation board, which we use to create these benchmarks. We have EnterMax Liquidtech TR4 liquid cooler, triple radiator, triple fan setup. Of course, Threadripper 2, 2990WX, bruh, and GTX 1080 Ti. Now, in order to remain constant in these benchmarks, this is what we use between the 1950X and the 2990WX. Oh, and we can't forget the lovely Gigabyte hardware. The Gigabyte was nice enough to send us, not necessarily for the purpose of these benchmarks, but to support us in our endeavors. We have Gigabyte SSDs and Gigabyte ORIS memory. And remember, we touched on the Gigabyte ORIS memory in one of our live streams. And Gigabyte's thought was they're going to give you, even with a 16 gigabyte kit, they're going to give you 2 sticks that actually work and another 2 sticks to make sure that your board can remain pretty. But doesn't really matter with boards like this because there's 8 DIMM slots, so you'd have to buy 2 kits to make that work. So, on to the benchmark numbers. I'm going to go ahead and list the workstation-based. I'm going to go ahead and list the workstation-based numbers first because, again, that is the priority of our Threadripper 2 here. And then I'll end with the gaming just so you can kind of see, if you didn't believe beforehand, that this really isn't designed for gaming usage. For the i8-64 memory latency test, comparative to the 1950X, which had 92.6 nanoseconds, you have the 2990WX at 68.8 nanoseconds. In our Blender test, it was able to create the BMW render with the 1950X processor at 2 minutes and 42 seconds. With the 2990WX with that same BMW Blender test, we had 2 minutes and 1 second. Now to the gaming. 3D Mark Firestrike with 1950X at 19,333. And with the 2990WX, we had the 13,972. And with 3D Mark Time Spy, we had 1950X at 9,949. And the W2990WX at 8,930. So, there are your gaming benchmark scores. Read it and weep. It was no secret that we anticipated there was going to be an average of a 40% drop in gaming performance, and you can't really blame AMD for not focusing on gaming because, well, again, they have processors for that. So let's kind of move on with life here and let me talk about a little bit of the opinions from where I stand. Do I feel like this is a processor that's going to be worth the $800 delta compared to the 1950X? If you're somebody that already owns the first edition of Threadripper, or rather, the first generation of Threadripper, there's really no point. You're gonna, live out the lifetime of the 1950X, do your thing, and then kind of see where AMD falls at that point. If you're somebody that's in the market for a new workstation, or maybe you're looking for a platform upgrade, something to kind of, you know, just gonna revitalize the things in your PC, then yeah, it's absolutely worth that $800 delta.
But what about the people that already own a liquid cooler that aren't TR4 compatible?
I mean, probably be pretty convenient if there was something to kind of help them still use their liquid cooler. AMD has answered our prayers. The Threadripper 2 series processors include an Asetek bracket, so you can continue to use those liquid coolers. So kind of a just general recap of everything we went over in this video. Threadripper, workstation, good. Threadripper 2, gaming, bad. Performance is much more improved over the Threadripper first generation as we anticipated, and it really looks like AMD is heading down the right track. They're going head-to-head with Intel on the Core Wars, and they are clearly winning, no doubt about that. You probably noticed we didn't even include any Intel processors or the rumored 28 core that they're releasing here fairly soon in the benchmark scores, and really we saw no point. AMD just decimated them left and right, and hands down. So it made more sense for us to compare the previous generation Threadripper so you could kind of see the improvements and the track record of AMD's fabrication and the kinds of technologies that they're coming out with as it relates to CPU performance. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us on this review for Threadripper 2. Threadripper 2 workstations are now available at avadirect.com, so make sure that you follow us on our products through workstations and desktops. If you liked the video, go ahead and click like below and subscribe for more information based on the AVA Direct social media channels. And thanks again, and you have yourself a fantastic day. Cooler. Liquid cooler.